For decades, whispers of UFO crashes, alien encounters, and secret government facilities have fueled our imagination. But what if the wildest theories weren't just theories, but pieces of a hidden truth? Roswell is located in the high Great Plains of southeastern New Mexico, west of the Pecos River and east of highlands that rise to the Sierra Blanca Range. During World War II, a prisoner of war camp was located in nearby Orchard Park. Unknown to most Americans, German prisoners of war were used to do major infrastructure work in Roswell. Why was a secret base being built in Roswell? Did intercepted Nazi intelligence indicate first contact? It all began in early July 1947. A strange object crashed on a small ranch just outside Roswell, New Mexico. Rancher Mac Brazel found debris, unlike anything he had ever seen. Scattered across his property, thin metallic sheets, beams with odd symbols, material that couldn't be torn, cut, or burned. He contacted the local sheriff, but it was the Roswell Army Airfield, home to the 509th Bomb Group, the world's only atomic bomb unit at the time, that responded. A junior officer announces to the press, "We have recovered a flying disc." But overnight, the story changes. General Roger Ramey, commanding officer of the 8th Air Force, changes the official story to "Weather balloon recovered by Army." So ask yourself, why did the world's only atomic bomb squad respond to a crashed object? Witnesses claimed the military sealed off the site and recovered more than just debris. Rumors swirled of alien bodies. Ufologists believe the wreckage was taken to a newly forming base at Groom Lake, Nevada, a place soon to be known as Area 51. Six years later, May 1953, at the Nevada Proving Ground, a nuclear bomb was detonated over the Yucca Flat, part of Operation Upshot Knothole, a series of atmospheric nuclear weapons tests conducted by the US government. What if those tests weren't just about human warfare? What if they had an unintended consequence for visitors from beyond? The electromagnetic pulse, or EMP, from that blast would have traveled hundreds of miles, capable of disrupting even the most advanced electronic systems. And just hours later, or perhaps simultaneously, in nearby Kingman, Arizona, something truly inexplicable happened. Witnesses described seeing multiple saucer-like objects fall from the night sky. One craft was said to have burned up after colliding with a mountain. Another was found intact in the desert. And a third crash-landed near a small reservoir. A team of 40 government officials shuttled in on blacked-out buses, recovered the ships, and, allegedly, an alien survivor. Like Roswell, everything was taken to Groom Lake, Nevada. The US government has never officially acknowledged or confirmed any UFO crash or alien recovery in Kingman, Arizona. But years later, Air Force engineer Arthur Stansel came forward. He said he was there, that he examined the crash site, that the craft was oval, metallic, and inside it were 4-foot-tall aliens, dead, wearing metallic suits. Could the EMP from our nuclear tests have brought them down? Are the craft and bodies still being studied at Area 51? That same year, 1953, something else begins. Lockheed's highly secretive unit called Skunk Works, led by engineer Clarence Kelly Johnson, is tasked with developing next-generation military aircraft for the US government. By the early 1950s, Johnson had designed America's most advanced jets, the P-80 Shooting Star and F-104 Starfighter. With the Cold War intensifying, the CIA needed a new aircraft to conduct covert spy missions and turned to Lockheed, one of its most trusted military contractors. But here's the twist. In 1953, the same year as the Kingman UFO crash, Johnson made a strange report. He'd seen a disc-like object in the sky. It made no sound. It moved in ways no known aircraft could. The sighting was reported to Project Blue Book, which was the official Air Force investigation into UFOs. Surprisingly, the government did not respond with its usual dismissive attitude. Instead, CIA officer Richard Bissell and Colonel Osmond Ritland would take Kelly Johnson to Nevada in 1955. Shortly after, President Eisenhower signs off and Johnson is given the green light to conduct operations at Area 51. In August 1955, the U-2 flew, a high-altitude spy plane that shattered records. 80,000 feet ceiling height, specialized sensors, a revolution in modern aviation. Did the government reveal UFOs and its alien technology to Johnson to jumpstart our technological advantage over our Cold War rivals? Did reverse engineering fuel the design of the U-2 spy plane, our current stealth technology? But Area 51 may not be the deepest secret in Nevada. Just 10 miles south of the main Area 51 complex, near Papoose Lake, another dry lakebed within the Nellis Test and Training Range is Site 4, or S4, camouflaged and hidden. Built into the side of Papoose Mountain, the facility is virtually invisible from the air. In 1989, physicist Bob Lazar went public. He claims to have worked at S4 and seen 9 flying discs of extraterrestrial origin stored in hangars in the underground facility. He described their propulsion systems as antimatter reactors fueled by element 115, a substance then unknown to science, an isotope with gravity wave properties. In 2003, a version of element 115 was synthesized on Earth, moscovium. If Lazar was fabricating, how did he describe an element with specific properties years before it was ever synthesized, even if the properties weren't identical? Was it a lucky guess or a piece of a larger, still hidden puzzle? But the rabbit hole goes deeper. What if actual alien beings were not just recovered, but living among us, under government watch? Former Air Force pilot Bill Uhouse said he worked at S4. Assigned to Area 51 in the 60s, Captain Uhouse, who had top-secret clearance, met the surviving alien from the Kingman UFO crash. Living secretly at S4, it had been cooperating with the U.S. government ever since. Referring to the alien as J-Rod, a name given by a linguist, he claimed J-Rod communicated telepathically and helped scientists reverse engineer alien propulsion tech. Years later, microbiologist Dan Burish made a similar claim. He said the government hired him to care for J-Rod. He took tissue samples, learned its biology, formed a deep connection, a friendship. But what if J-Rod wasn't the only one? What if I told you meeting extraterrestrial life isn't as rare as we believe? Imagine an alien living inside the Pentagon, advising the President of the United States. Sounds like science fiction? For some, this is the true story of Valiant Thor. In 1957, a being known as Valiant Thor allegedly landed in Virginia. He was brought to the Pentagon, introduced to President Dwight Eisenhower. He warned against nuclear war, offered advanced technology, called for global peace. Given top-secret clearance, Valiant Thor resided in the Pentagon for 3 years from 1957 to 1960 as a liaison. If Valiant Thor lived in the Pentagon, where did he go next? In 1984, ufologist Jaime Shandera received an anonymous package containing a roll of film. When developed, the film purportedly contained 8 pages of a top-secret briefing, dated November 18, 1952, addressed to President-elect Dwight D. Eisenhower. This document, allegedly written by Vice Admiral Roscoe Hillenkoetter, the first director of the CIA, described the recovery of 2 crashed discs and the bodies of 4 humanoid beings, along with the formation of a secret group called Majestic 12. Created by President Truman in 1947, MJ-12 allegedly included top scientists, generals, and intelligence officers. Their goal? To control all information related to extraterrestrial contact. Keep the public in the dark. Though declared forgeries by the FBI, UFO researchers believe this is just another attempt by the government to cover its tracks. Is MJ-12 the shadow government agency pulling the strings behind every UFO investigation? Due to persistent public interest and congressional inquiries, the U.S. Air Force conducted investigations and released 2 detailed reports in the 1990s to debunk the theories of crashed alien craft, alien bodies, and government cover-up. The Roswell Report, Fact vs. Fiction in the New Mexico Desert, and the Roswell Report, Case Closed. These reports admitted the initial weather balloon explanation was a cover story, revealing the debris was from Project Mogul, a secret program to detect Soviet nukes. As for alien bodies, they said witnesses likely misremembered crash test dummies in military accidents. Many didn't buy it. For decades, these stories were dismissed as fringe theories. But then, in 2020, something changed. The Pentagon released 3 declassified videos. U.S. Navy pilots filmed unidentified objects moving in impossible ways. No visible propulsion, no wings, no longer just swamp gas or weather balloons. These real, unidentified phenomena were captured by our own military. The government didn't deny it. They simply said, "We don't know what these are." Why did it take until 2020 for the Pentagon to admit UFOs exist? Have we made contact? Could everything from stealth jets to military alliances be influenced by alien tech? Or are we still just scratching the surface? From Roswell to Kingman, from J-Rod to Valiant Thor, from S4 to MJ-12. The story unfolds in layers. Some call it conspiracy, others call it disclosure. One thing is certain, we are not alone. The truth is out there, and maybe, just maybe, it's right above us.
Hi, I'm Byte, one of the research staff at Shadow Files. While I was snooping around Area 51, I found out J-Rod wasn't the only alien in the facility. There was a survivor from a UFO crash at Roswell. MJ-12 kept a tight lid on him. No one knows his name. He was from an alien race called Ebens. He contacted his homeworld, and MJ-12 negotiated a human-alien exchange program, U.S. soldiers for alien tech. We have leaked footage from Lieutenant Coulson, one of the 12 soldiers sent to planet Serpo. And yes, that's the same Coulson of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Avengers. Oops, that was supposed to be top secret. Oh well. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's watch Project Serpo.
Warning, warning, collision imminent. Warning, warning, collision imminent.
A navigational glitch. We prematurely exited the wormhole into an asteroid field. Thank God the automatic pilot engaged and we avoided the collision. It's been 6 months since we left Earth, heading to planet Serpo in the Zeta Reticuli system. My wife wasn't thrilled when I told her I would be on a mission for several years, maybe a decade, and I couldn't tell her any details.
The preparations were meticulous and completely off the books. A hand-picked team of 12 military specialists, 10 men, 2 women, underwent months of physical stress testing, psychological screening, and alien environment simulations. They weren't told everything, just enough to follow orders. Among them was Lieutenant Coulson, a linguist fluent in 5 Earth languages, now tasked with learning a 6th, Eben.
We practiced breathing low-oxygen mixes for hours. I stopped dreaming in English. By the end, we weren't soldiers anymore. We were volunteers for something not human.
The genesis of Project Serpo resulted from the 1947 Roswell incident. After a spacecraft crashed near Roswell, killing some of its occupants, one alien survivor was found. This survivor, an Eben, was nursed back to health, learned English, and lived for several years, providing invaluable insights into their technology, culture, and, crucially, their home planet, Serpo. The Ebens made contact in 1964. An offer was made. The United States would send 12 humans to the Eben homeworld. In exchange, the Ebens would leave behind one of their own and provide us alien tech. The journey began in 1965. The Ebens provided the transport, a sleek, impossibly smooth craft powered by anti-gravity propulsion. The trip to Serpo, a planet orbiting one of the stars in the Zeta Reticuli binary system, would take approximately 9 Earth months. Only outbound, no rescue, no return date. To travel 39 light years to planet Serpo in only 9 Earth months, the Eben starship used wormhole technology given to them by the WingMakers, ancient celestial entities. These guardians of space-time are the same entities that Al Bielek or Duncan Cameron met in Earth year 2949 AD on Project Montauk. To learn more about the WingMakers and Al's multiple lives, I provided a link in the description page below. And please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like today's show. It will help me create more fascinating videos. Now, back to the show.
We came out of the wormhole, and the navigational helm malfunctioned. We overshot our intended landing point and were coming in hot. But this crazy Eben tech actually landed us safely. Luckily, an Eben spotted us and led us to a nearby outpost. A gigantic sandstorm blew in. It was so high that it blocked out the sun. It would be the last night I would see for 13 years. The storm finally passed, and the Eben cruisers came to transport us to their elders.
Serpo wasn't what they expected. Larger than Earth, thinner air, harsh temperatures under twin suns that cast no shadows and no night. Gravity was heavier, pulling at their bones. The sky, always burning. The ground, always shifting.
You forget what darkness feels like, that silence exists. Even sleep had to be learned again.
2 members didn't make it. 1, Lieutenant Haskins died from a pulmonary embolism during a sandstorm. His body struggled to adjust to the planet's thinner air and heavier gravity. The second, Specialist Ramirez, was crushed beneath alien equipment during an underground explosion. The airlock malfunctioned, trapping her. Their graves remain on Serpo. The Ebens were calm, roughly 4 feet tall, hairless, gray-skinned. Their large black eyes never blinked. They spoke with their minds, emotionless, but not cold. Peaceful. There was no war, no money, no visible leadership. Just a communal system guided by a council of elders and a cultural ethos rooted in logic and cooperation. The technology was beyond. machines that grew food on demand, gravity modulation fields, and propulsion systems that hinted at a deep understanding of space-time.
They didn't need power plants, or guards, or laws. Everything just worked. I was hesitant at first to ask for it, but my classified duty was to secure advanced weapons. Without judging me or the request, they just complied, as if I was asking for an apple.
The mission, originally scheduled for 10 years, stretched to 13. The Ebbins requested more data, more interaction, and more time. Eventually, they constructed a vessel just for the humans, one designed to bring them home without fatal radiation exposure. In 1978, 8 survivors stepped back onto Earth. They brought with them over 3,000 pages of handwritten logs, 16 hours of film, and biological samples from an alien world. But they were different. Aged, sickened by radiation, and permanently altered by the experience.
My wife didn't recognize me. My dog barked until it collapsed. I'd lived 13 years under twin suns. Coming back to one was like waking into a dream someone else wrote.
The team was sequestered, debriefed, monitored. They were given new identities, new homes, and an unbreakable wall of secrecy. Their original identities completely erased. In 2005, a man claiming to be a retired Defense Intelligence Agency official under the alias Anonymous began releasing emails to a select list of researchers. Primarily through UFO researcher Victor Martinez, Anonymous leaked over 3,000 words of detail, covering everything from Serpo's ecosystem to Ebon tech to time perception shifts that made 13 years feel like just 3. The details he revealed matched logs known only to the highest levels of military intelligence. Skeptics called it a hoax. Some said it was a disinformation campaign meant to distract from real secrets. Others believed every word.
There were 12 of us. 2 stayed behind, not because they had to, because they wanted to. Maybe they found peace there, or maybe they were never meant to return.
So what is Project Serpo? A myth? A cover story? Or the most profound exchange in human history, erased from the books, but never from memory? The truth remains hidden, somewhere between stars and silence. And remember, we are not alone. The truth is out there. Keep your eyes on the skies.
I just reviewed the MJ12 files on the WingMakers, and it looks like these interdimensional celestials have been active on Earth for some time. We learn more about them in the Montauk project when Al Bielek, or rather in his prior life as Cameron Duncan, meets the WingMakers in 2749 AD.
For decades, the US government denied the existence of Area 51, until they didn't. What other secrets are they still hiding? Did the US military perfect time travel? Were they aided by recovered alien tech or interdimensional beings? Beneath the quiet sands of Montauk, New York, lies the chilling remnants of a gateway in time. An abandoned military base, a forgotten radar tower, and according to some, secret CIA and military experiments so profound, they tore at the very fabric of reality. They say children were taken, memories erased, and the lines between past, present, and future blurred beyond recognition. This is the story of the Montauk Project, and the men who say they survived its impossible depths. The Montauk Project is one of the most disturbing and elaborate conspiracy theories of the 20th century. It sounds like science fiction, but for those who claim to have lived it, it was terrifyingly real. According to whistleblowers, it was a series of covert government experiments conducted at Camp Hero, a decommissioned Air Force base hidden at the far end of Long Island. The purpose? Time travel, mind control, psychological warfare, and the creation of psychic soldiers. They claim it all began as an extension of the Philadelphia experiment, a secret 1943 naval test that allegedly rendered the USS Eldridge invisible and teleported it through space and time. It was aboard that ship during the height of World War II that two brothers would become unintended pioneers of temporal war. Edward and Duncan Cameron, both Navy officers assigned to the Eldridge, were tasked with monitoring the test from within the control room. But when the experiment spiraled out of control, ripping open space-time and causing sailors to fuse with the ship's structure, Edward and Duncan made a split-second decision. They jumped overboard, but instead of landing in the ocean, they landed in Montauk, New York, in the year 1983. But the crew of the USS Eldridge paid the ultimate price for tampering with space-time. The horrors of that day were etched not just into history, but into the very souls of those who witnessed them. To truly understand, we must hear from a witness from below.
They said it was just a test. Electromagnetic cloaking, radar invisibility. No one told us the ship would feel it too. It started with a low vibration. You could feel it in your teeth, like the metal was grinding against time itself. Then the walls, they started breathing. Martinez was the first, reached for a bulkhead and couldn't pull away. By the time we got to him, his arm was part of it. His veins turned to copper wire. His mouth opened, but no sound, just static. I tried to run, but the corridor kept shifting, like it knew where I was going. Jenkins vanished into the floor. Harper's face stretched across the panel beside me, eyes still moving, still alive. The ship wasn't just moving through space. It was moving through something else, something it was never meant to touch. And we weren't passengers anymore. We were pieces. They sealed the project, scrubbed the records, said we imagined it all. But I remember every corridor, every scream, every name carved into the steel. They say the Eldridge vanished in 1943. They're wrong. It's still out there, and so are we.
What happened next to the Cameron brothers would remain buried in suppressed memories and whispered accounts for decades. The brothers were allegedly captured, debriefed, and subjected to experiments at Camp Hero. Their identities fragmented, their roles rewritten. By the 1980s, Montauk had become the new testing ground, continuing the unsafe Philadelphia experiments, now with technology rumored to be beyond human comprehension, perhaps even of extraterrestrial origin. A place where science crossed a line and never came back. Edward would later claim he became Al-Bialek, a man born in 1927 with no memory of his past life. Duncan would become something else entirely. Preston Nichols was an electrical engineer working for defense contractors with a focus on radar and electromagnetic research. In the early 1990s, he came forward with shocking claims that he had recovered suppressed memories of working at Montauk, that he had helped build the chair, a device capable of amplifying human psychic energy, so powerful it could create matter from thought. If the subject thought of a book a book would appear. But when Duncan sat in the chair, things got dangerous. Nichols claimed that a boy named Duncan Cameron had been trained as a psychic weapon, that his thoughts opened a time vortex, unstable, unpredictable, and that something came through. Nichols said he was ordered to shut it all down, but it was already too late. While Preston Nichols built the chair, Duncan Cameron became its most powerful subject. According to Nichols and other insiders, Duncan wasn't just a test participant. He was the weapon they were building toward all along. The younger brother of Edward Cameron, cloned and reborn through complex temporal engineering at Montauk, Duncan was said to possess extraordinary latent psychic abilities. Telepathy, the ability to communicate thoughts mind to mind. Remote viewing, seeing distant locations without physical sight. Precognition, knowing future events. But when amplified by the Montauk chair, something far more volatile emerged. He could manifest objects just by thinking about them. Entire buildings, creatures, people. But the more he used the chair, the more unstable it became. In August 1983, during the final hours of the Montauk project, Duncan reportedly unleashed a catastrophic psychic storm. Nichols claimed that Duncan opened a time vortex so powerful it threatened to swallow the base itself. What came through the portal has never been identified. Some say it was a creature, Duncan's fear given horrifying form. Others say it was a rupture in space-time that could not be sealed. To save the base, Duncan expended his life force to drive the creature back and close the rift. Realizing the experiment had gone too far, Nichols said he and others initiated an emergency shutdown. The chair was dismantled, the project buried. But Duncan Cameron, the boy out of time, the psychic weapon, was gone. To this day, some believe fragments of his consciousness still echo in the places the vortex once touched. Al Bielek's story is even stranger. In 1988, while watching a sci-fi movie about the Philadelphia experiment, he had a sudden and overwhelming sense of recognition. He claimed to recover memories that he was actually Edward Cameron, a man born in 1916, who worked on the USS Eldridge during its fateful test in 1943. According to Bielek, he and his brother Duncan jumped off the ship and landed in Montauk, 1983. He said they were taken underground, briefed, experimented on, and eventually they were split apart. He was sent to the future, 2749 AD. He came back with a warning from the future. He was ignored. Al Bielek said he was sent back in time from Montauk, reborn in 1927 as Al Bielek. His memories suppressed, his first mission forgotten, until it all came flooding back. Bielek said, "They wiped me, but not forever. I remembered. I saw the future. Lived in the year 2749. No money, no war, just machines." He claimed to have spent years in a future ruled by artificial intelligence before being returned to his own timeline with no proof and no one who believed him. But in his later recollections, a new detail emerged. He spoke of a meeting, not with scientists, but with entities calling themselves the WingMakers. Bielek said, "They told me the timeline was fracturing, that our interference, my interference, was contaminating the multiverse. I wasn't supposed to be there. None of us were." According to Bielek, the WingMakers, ancient interdimensional entities said to be guardians of time, warned that time travel was destabilizing reality itself, that the Montauk experiments had opened rifts in space-time, ones that couldn't be easily closed. Bielik's memories had been jumbled by overlapping timelines. In one timeline, Bielik was sent back to 1983. They tasked him with remembering, with telling others. Unfortunately, in this timeline, he did not return to a functioning military site. Montauk base had been abandoned. His brother Duncan, nowhere to be found. Stuart Swerdlow doesn't claim to be a scientist. He claims to be a survivor. According to Swerdlow, he was taken to Montauk as a child, along with hundreds of other boys, many of them never seen again. These were the chillingly named Montauk Boys. It was in Lab 7. They called it conditioning. He says they were subjected to trauma-based mind control, conditioned to open space-time portals, tasked with interdimensional missions, weaponized, sent on seek and destroy operations, even tasked with stealing alien tech. Swerdlow said, "They fractured our minds to build psychic abilities. We weren't students. We were weapons." He says he was used for remote viewing, time travel, even contact with alien species. After the program was shut down, he struggled with mental illness, identity loss, and strange, unexplainable memories. Today, he writes and lectures about deprogramming and helping others who believe they too were part of Montauk. To this day, no records of these experiments have been found. But Swerdlow insists the trauma is real, and he is not alone. Today, Camp Hero is a state park. Tourists walk the trails. Children play by the radar tower. Most don't know the stories whispered about what lies beneath. No official agency has acknowledged the Montauk Project. No hard evidence has ever emerged. And yet, the claims persist. Skeptics call it pure science fiction. But believers point to real programs. Time, space, and dimensional travel, that was the CIA's Gateway process. Mind control and illegal human experimentation, that was the CIA's MK Ultra program. And telepathy and precognition, that was Project Stargate. These theories, revealed by the Montauk Project, aren't just possible. Our government actively pursued them. Is Montauk a cover-up so deep it erased its own existence? Or a collective hallucination triggered by Cold War paranoia and too many late-night broadcasts? 3 men, 3 impossible stories. Each claims to have seen what we were never meant to know. Time travel, psychic warfare, memory suppression, and something else, just beneath the surface. What if they're telling the truth? What if the Montauk Project never ended? And what if you were part of it and just don't remember? What do you believe? Let me know in the comments below. And subscribe to Shadow Files for more deep investigations into government secrets, unexplained encounters, and the unseen forces that shape our world. And remember, keep watching the skies. The truth is out there.
So the WingMakers tried to warn us through Cameron Duncan, but no one listened to him. Unknown to most people, Nikola Tesla was on board the USS Eldridge during the Philadelphia experiment, and the WingMakers were involved again. We'll learn more at the Ancient Arrow site.
The story begins with Tesla at his famous Colorado Springs 1899 experimental test of wireless energy transmission. But was it really just an experimental test?
History remembers it as a test of wireless electricity. But the truth was far more extraordinary. Colorado Springs, 1899. A storm brews over the plains. Inside his experimental laboratory stands a man history would call a mad scientist. But the cosmos knew him by another name, Alset Alekin. Nikola Tesla was not merely a visionary. He was an embedded agent sent over a millennium ago in Earth time. A watcher, a messenger, a wingmaker.
I could see the past, present, and future, all at the same time.
Adjusting the frequency modulation, Tesla sets the interstellar wave trajectory and sends a quantum-encoded signal through space, disguised as science, but aimed far beyond Earth, to a fixed point in the Cygnus Rift. This was no experiment. It was a message, hidden inside harmonics, layered in light. A scheduled report to the Wingmaker Council. The message: humanity advances. Technologically, but untethered from wisdom. A fracture is forming. I will attempt time travel to adjust human readiness for the grand portal. In the dimension beyond time, the Council awakens. The transmission is clear. Agent Nicola's 13th report had been received. They re-enter observational slumber, awaiting his next signal, due in 1 Earth century, 1999. And then, silence. Tesla's lab went dark, the sky cleared, and no one on Earth ever knew what he had done. The Council waited. But the next transmission never came. In the galactic spiral arm near the Cygnus Rift, beyond the perception of time, stands the High Council of the Wingmakers, multi-dimensional entities who seed civilizations and are guardians of space-time. Their existence, suspended in zero-entropy space, hums with harmonic frequencies. Here, time is not linear. Pasts, possible presents, and futures all exist as strands in a symphonic code. On this day, the Council is troubled.
We have received no transmission from Agent Nikola in over 100 Earth cycles.
Nikola Tesla, their embedded observer on Earth, was dispatched over 1,000 years ago in Earth time, encoded as a human genius. His task? Monitor humanity's development after the Wingmakers' last contact 13,000 years ago. Observe, influence subtly, and transmit updates once every 100 years. His last successful report came in 1899. The next transmission was due in 1999. But there was nothing. No pulse, no signal.
Could he have chosen to regenerate? Relocate?
A third counselor activates the Celestial Registry. The truth arrives. Nikola Tesla died in 1943. Murmurs ripple through the council. An immortal agent, dying. The registry revealed he perished during a classified military experiment aboard the USS Eldridge, an event Earth humans call the Philadelphia Experiment.
Impossible! He knew the risks. He would have self-shifted before corporeal collapse.
My husband's best friend, Lenny, was catnapped last night. They want 1,000 YouTube subscribers for his release. Please share, like, and subscribe. I will let you know if we get Lenny back in the next episode. Now back to the show.
The Council needed clarity. They activated an ancient artifact still in Earth's orbit, the Black Knight satellite. An observational sentinel placed long before humanity built pyramids. It activates with a pulse of violet light. Moments later, a transmission arrives. What it shows chills even these timeless beings. Earth is gone. A barren sphere, ash clouds where cities once stood. Nuclear signatures layered across continents, a nuclear winter. They had destroyed themselves. Humanity, extinct.
This cannot stand.
the potential of humanity, the spark we witnessed, it cannot be extinguished. This future is unacceptable.
We must intervene, not with direct contact, not with overt guidance, but with a seed, a new beginning, a path to a different future.
We will send another to their distant past to create a beacon, a repository of knowledge, art, and philosophy, a catalyst for consciousness.
To preserve the greater timeline and offer humanity a final hope, the Council selected a single envoy, a new Wingmaker. Materialized in humanoid physical form, she was dispatched not to observe, but to embed a profound message within the very fabric of Earth's timeline. To reset the compass, the envoy's destination, Earth's distant past. The year, approximately 840 AD. Her mission, build a hidden site, a transmission vector encoded in symbols, music, technology, and artifacts. A map across consciousness, a time capsule for the soul. This was the genesis of the ancient Arrow site, a complex of 23 chambers, each a puzzle box of art, light, sound, and encoded philosophy, hidden in a canyon in what would later be called New Mexico. A living library containing the essence of the Wingmakers' wisdom, their art, their understanding of the cosmos, all encoded within its very structure. A silent guide waiting for the right time to be discovered. In 1997, that time arrived. A covert unit inside the National Security Agency, the Advanced Contact Intelligence Organization, or ACIO, intercepted strange signals during an electromagnetic scan near Chaco Canyon. What they found defied logic. A sealed entrance, camouflaged by the terrain, leading to a highly advanced non-human complex. The materials were impervious to carbon dating. The symbols were alien, but also somehow familiar. Within each chamber, holographic art, strange musical resonances, linguistic poems, and crystalline technology. It was a message, a puzzle, a test. The ACIO sought to decode it and to weaponize it. But there were others who believed the site was sacred. A gift, not a weapon. A warning, not a tool. They called the creators of this marvel the Wingmakers. They found not just artifacts, but a profound narrative, a philosophy of consciousness, and a chilling warning of a potential future. The site was a time capsule, designed to awaken humanity to its true potential, to guide it away from the destructive path the Wingmakers had witnessed in their own future. The internal war within the ACIO mirrored the greater conflict between secrecy and disclosure, between control and liberation. Some believed the artifacts were connected to the very fabric of time. Others suspected this was connected to Montauk, to Tesla, to the idea that time travel wasn't just possible, but that it had already fractured Earth's destiny. The chambers are a mirror, one researcher said, not of who we are, but of who we must become. As deciphering progressed, the site began to pulse, vibrational signatures triggering dreamlike states in certain individuals. Prophetic visions, contact, whispers spoke of an event horizon, a coming shift. But then, the records vanish. Officially, the site never existed. Unofficially, those who saw it were changed forever. One man claimed to have seen the true consequences of the Philadelphia experiment. A man named Al Bielek, who alleged he was part of the Montauk experiments and had been thrown through time. In his strangest memory, he wakes up in the year 2749 AD. He describes a world devoid of centralized governments, telepathic AI interface, floating cities, and records of a species called the WingMakers, credited with saving humanity from itself. He also claimed the ancient Arrow site had been found again, not in 1997, but centuries earlier, and had reoriented the timeline toward a different destiny.
We are the Seeders and the Watchers. We exist outside of time to protect what grows within it. The chambers remain hidden, not to prevent discovery, but to await readiness.
The WingMakers are not coming. They never left. They have always been here, whispering through the echoes of time, guiding humanity towards its true grand portal. If you enjoyed this origin story, please support Shadow Files. Share, like, and subscribe for more mysteries, conspiracies, and secrets the government doesn't want you to know. Was Tesla a wingmaker? Are we in an alternate timeline? Comment below, and remember, we are not alone. The truth is out there. Keep your eyes on the skies.
Nikola Tesla did actually die in 1943, but was it on board the USS Eldridge? We'll learn this secret and more on the CIA's classified book, The Adam and Eve Story, The End of the World. Oh, and there's a surprise reveal in this story. Make sure to stay and watch.
Imagine a secret history, hidden not by time, but by design. A truth so profound, it redefines our origins and warns of an imminent global disaster. What if our ancient myths weren't fiction, but are the recollections of traumatic near-extinction events that our ancient ancestors experienced and survived, to pass on to us in forms of folklore and legends? The Earth is not what you think it is. It's not stable. It's not safe. John Thomas, an aerospace engineer and physicist, tried to warn us in 1965. But the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, stopped him. They only allowed him to publish a sanitized version of his book. He wanted to warn us of what he knew, what he had experienced, secrets he had learned from Earth's past history, knowledge given to him by aliens from another star system. Thomas called it the Adam and Eve story, but most of the details were missing, hidden by our government. Thomas's secrets would die with him in 1998. In 2013, the CIA released a heavily redacted version of Thomas's original warning. But the information that really matters was still blacked out. What deadly secrets are the CIA still hiding from us? And who was John Thomas? Was he a time traveler? And why did the CIA silence him? The answers lie in the distant past. Our story begins 780,000 years ago. 3 human species walked the Earth: Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and Denisovans. But beneath their feet, something ancient stirred: the planet's molten iron core. Unexpectedly, a geodynamo phenomenon occurs, and the magnetic north and south poles begin to switch places. As the planet's magnetic field weakened, the poles reversed. This was no gentle switch. It opened Earth to cosmic radiation. The Yellowstone supervolcano erupted. Ash darkened the skies. Temperatures plunged. A global ice age began. Oceans surged violently, and early humans scrambled for survival. Science calls this a geomagnetic reversal. John Thomas called it a flip, a term he learned from the Nordics, an interstellar alien race he met 772,000 years ago. The CIA called it the Brun-Hess-Matuyama reversal and had it redacted and filed away under national security concerns. These flips are real. They are irregular. They occur every 200,000 to 300,000 years on average. And the last full flip happened 780,000 years ago, which means we are long overdue. The consequences are dire. Our power grids will be fried, our technology crippled, and our very existence will be tested. Will humanity suffer the same fate as the Neanderthals, the Denisovans, destined for extinction? The next major magnetic polarity event would occur 740,000 years later, and a legend would be born.
I have some bad news and some good news. The bad news is we didn't raise the ransom of 1,000 YouTube subscribers. The good news is that Lenny escaped his catnappers. My husband, Bite, is trying to crowdfund for more YouTube subs. Let's save Lenny. Please subscribe, share, and like the video. Now back to the show.
Fast forward to the last Champ event, 41,000 years ago. Not a full magnetic polarity reversal or pole flip, but what scientists call a pole wander or excursion. Though not a near-Earth extinction event, the faltering magnetic field unleashes solar storms and climate chaos that target the Canadian Arctic and Siberia, home of the Denisovans. Their survival hung by a thread. But then, something miraculous happened. A benevolent race, the Nordics, said to hail from the Pleiades star cluster, intervened. Tall, glowing, angelic beings with platinum hair and blue eyes. They guided the Denisovans to safety. And from the seas, they raised a new sanctuary, Atlantis, a city of shimmering towers and crystal technologies, a utopia forged from alien knowledge. The Denisovans became the Atlanteans. But someone watched. A cloaked figure, not Nordic, not human. A wingmaker, an interdimensional Time Lord, takes notice and records the temporal anomaly. In the original timeline, the Denisovans had perished, an entire species erased. This deviation created a ripple in the timeline, and if it strayed too far from the destined path, it would be pruned. Our story leaps forward again to a classified naval experiment in 1943 aboard the USS Eldridge, the infamous Philadelphia experiment. John Thomas, a newly minted physicist from Dartmouth College, and Nikola Tesla, the genius, initiate the experiment. Designed to achieve invisibility, it would unleash far more than anticipated. The experiment tore open a space-time rift, sucking Thomas and Tesla into a terrifying null-void space. To save Thomas, Tesla revealed his true form, a wingmaker, a guardian of timelines. Using the last of his temporal power, he sends Thomas back and seals the rift, vanishing into the void, forever lost. John Thomas reappeared, but not in 1943. Tesla had sent him to an ice age, 770,000 BCE, the very beginning of the Middle Pleistocene.
Mr. Shadowtrace, how did Chan get the cool winter clothes?
What? Where's Lenny? He's in charge of scene integrity. It's so hard to find good help these days. Maybe I should go full AI. It would be much cheaper. Anyways, since you're going to interrupt, I might as well introduce you. Bite the Rat and Lenny the Cat are my 2 gig workers who help me produce the show. All my other faceless YouTube colleagues have AI script writers. I hope I'm not making a mistake using carbon-based life forms.
Mr. Shadowtrace, we could say Tesla, aka Wingmaker, changed Chan's clothes knowing that he was sending him to an ice age to meet the Nordics?
That sounds good. Let's go with that.
Oh, by the way, please hit that subscribe button. My job depends on it.
All right, let's get back to Chan Thomas before he freezes to death. Lost in an alien past, Thomas was found by the same benevolent Nordics, who were at that very moment studying the aftermath of the Brunhes-Matuyama magnetic reversal. They recognized the residual WingMaker energy signature left on Thomas and saved him. The Nordics educated him, revealed the devastating history, the intricate mechanics, and the dire dangers of Earth's cyclical polarity reversals. They showed him the hidden truths of our planet's violent past and the inevitability of its future. Thomas learns of Earth's cataclysmic cycles, geomagnetic shifts that trigger extinction, how the magnetic field weakens, how poles wander and then flip. Armed with this terrifying knowledge, the Nordics returned Chan Thomas to 1965. His mission: to warn humanity, to prepare us for the inevitable. He immediately began writing his chilling account, The Adam and Eve Story. Thomas wrote The Adam and Eve Story. It warned of Earth's crust shifting suddenly, not just magnetic poles, but the land itself. Tsunamis, megaquakes, volcanic winters. Entire civilizations wiped clean. Adam and Eve, he claimed, were not the first humans. They were not cast out of Eden because of a stolen apple. They were the last survivors. Their garden was a shattered earth. Their nakedness was the loss of all civilization. And the flood myths, Noah's Ark, and even the legend of Atlantis are not mere fables, not fiction, but memories, etched in story, encoded warnings. How will we fare? Our fragile global infrastructure is entirely dependent on stable magnetic fields and uninterrupted power. A pole shift event, as Thomas describes, wouldn't just be an inconvenience. It would be an extinction-level event for civilization as we know it. These resets happen every 6,000 to 7,000 years, and we are due. Thomas's warnings were silenced. A shadow alliance between the manipulative alien race, the Greys, and the ancient controlling force known as the Illuminati convinced MJ-12 and the CIA to suppress his work. Why? Because a controlled apocalypse would create chaos, and from chaos comes control. The redacted version of the Adam and Eve story was released in 2013, sanitized, the truth scrubbed clean. The Nordics, the WingMakers, Nikola Tesla's self-sacrifice, the time rift, and the true, explicit warnings of imminent doom. Erased, classified, hidden from public view. Do you believe we were told the truth? Or only what they wanted us to believe? Are we just livestock, waiting for the next reset? By 9600 BCE, Atlantis had become a threat. Their technology, too powerful for their immature species, led to unchecked arrogance. They lacked the wisdom to wield the knowledge bestowed upon them. They became consumed by a singular desire: to rule the world. The very future of the original timeline was threatened. They had erased the Neanderthals. Now they set their sights on Homo sapiens, our ancestors. The WingMaker, who had patiently observed the Denisovan experiment for almost 30,000 years, knew a choice had to be made. Our ancient ancestors called him Zeus, the king of the Olympian gods. The WingMaker Zeus unleashed the fury of the elements, and Atlantis fell. The timeline was restored. But for how long? The signs are here. The poles are moving. The field is weakening. And the cycle is beginning again. What if the myths are memories? What if Adam and Eve weren't the beginning, but the end? What timeline are we living in now? And more importantly, will we survive the next flip? Our answers lie in the skies. We are not alone. Please comment if you think Lenny will make it home. Will his best friend Bite save the day, or will Lenny run into more trouble? If you enjoyed this episode, please share, like, and subscribe for more revealing stories of alien interaction, government conspiracies, myths, and legends that blur the line between fact and fiction.
Can you believe it? Tesla was not only a secret alien agent, he was a wingmaker. And did he really die? But more importantly, who are these Greys? We'll learn more at Dulce Base.
For decades, the name Area 51 was a whisper, a government denial. But then, it was revealed as a testing ground for classified aircraft. A controlled narrative? But what if that truth was merely a diversion? A curtain drawn to hide a far more terrifying reality. A secret so profound, so horrific, that the very mention of its name is still forbidden. And the consequences of keeping this secret? A government archivist and his family would vanish. All public records of their existence erased. A brilliant scientist would be committed to an insane asylum. A wealthy aviation scion would risk everything to expose the truth. And a whistleblower would die under mysterious circumstances after learning this dark secret. In the far reaches of northern New Mexico, where the high desert meets the edge of the Jicarilla Apache Reservation, there rises a silent sentinel, Archuleta Mesa, just another rugged hill to the untrained eye. Quiet, remote, forgotten by time. But beneath its windswept ridges and layers of volcanic rock, researchers, whistleblowers, and conspiracy theorists believe lies something else entirely. A hidden facility, a sealed doorway, a war zone. They call it the Dulce Base. And if the stories are true, this mountain doesn't just hide secrets, it buries them alive. Conspiracy lore suggests that in the mid-20th century, following a series of UFO crashes, the US government entered into a secret treaty with certain extraterrestrial races, primarily the Greys. This pact, sometimes called the Greyada Treaty, was supposedly a Faustian bargain. In exchange for advanced alien technology, the government would permit these aliens to conduct experiments on humans and animals, provided that lists of subjects were documented and they were returned unharmed, with memories erased. Under the cloak of utmost secrecy, a massive, multi-level underground facility was allegedly constructed. Not just labs for reverse engineering alien craft, but a joint operating base where human and alien scientists worked side by side. For years, perhaps decades, this uneasy alliance supposedly held, fueling our technological advancements in aerospace, computing, and even genetics, far beyond what the public could imagine. What happens when a respected scientist records something the government doesn't want anyone to see? Paul Benowitz thought he was helping national security. Instead, he triggered alarms at MJ-12, and it destroyed his life. Created by President Truman in 1947, MJ-12 allegedly included top scientists, generals, and intelligence officers. Their mandate? Control all information related to extraterrestrial contact. Before he became entangled in the Dulce Base saga, Paul Benowitz was a brilliant physicist, inventor, and entrepreneur. He founded Thunder Scientific Corporation in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a leader in precision instrumentation. Known for his rigorous mind and methodical approach, Paul wasn't interested in stories. he was interested in data. In the late 1970s, Benowitz began seeing strange things in the sky from his own backyard, located just across from the Kirtland Air Force Base. Using telescopes, cameras, and radio equipment he designed himself, he recorded craft performing maneuvers no human aircraft could match. He didn't go looking for aliens, but by reporting what he saw, he put his reputation and his sanity on the line. He captured not just lights, but intercepted electronic signals. Signals he believed came from these unidentified craft. And he wasn't guessing. He logged, recorded, and tracked everything, like a scientist should. Convinced he was witnessing something real and potentially dangerous, Benowitz contacted the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. He offered everything: his recordings, equipment, and expertise. He wasn't an outsider. He was a family man, a business owner, and a patriot. His goal wasn't fame, it was truth. He even gave presentations to scientific groups, showing his findings with the clarity of a trained analyst. But instead of receiving clarity, Benowitz became the subject of a new kind of operation. One aimed not at investigation, but at destabilization. She wasn't an activist. She wasn't seeking fame. Myrna Hansen was a mother living a quiet life on a ranch in New Mexico. Until one night in 1980, when she and her son vanished and came back with a story too horrifying to believe. It began with strange lights in the sky. Then came the silence. Myrna Hansen and her son would later report being taken aboard a craft, only to awaken back on Earth. But something had changed. Dead cattle, missing time, and fragments of memory. Fragmented, traumatic, and terrifying. Her story wasn't just about lights in the sky. It was about something far worse happening underground. Her case would later draw the attention of New Mexico State Police Officer Gabe Valdez, a man not known for chasing fantasy. While investigating the growing cattle mutilation and disappearance mystery in New Mexico, he would connect one of America's strangest abduction cases to something even darker, deep beneath the ground. Officer Valdez contacted Benowitz, who brought her to see Bud Hopkins, a pioneer of hypnotic regression therapy, to recover her repressed memories. Under hypnosis, guided by UFO researcher Bud Hopkins, Myrna began to recover what her conscious mind had buried. At first, she remembered a cow being sucked into a hovering spaceship by a tractor beam. Then, Myrna recalled being taken to an underground base. She saw steel walls, fluorescent lights, an underground facility, far below the desert. Inside were containment tanks. Floating within them, disembodied forms, body parts, and disturbing hybrid creatures. She recalled a room full of fluid-filled chambers. One held what looked like a child, but it wasn't human. Then, she recalled having been given an implant by the aliens. What she described was not just abduction, it was experimentation, a program that appeared to involve both alien beings and human collaborators. October 24th, 1980. Benowitz sends a detailed report to the U.S. Air Force, including photographs, film footage, signal recordings, and Myrna's recollections of abduction, alien encounters, underground secret bases, human experimentation. The Air Force didn't shut him down. They sent in Richard Doty, Special Agent for the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. He fed Benowitz stories of underground alien bases, of genetic hybrids, of a war hidden beneath the New Mexico desert. Benowitz believed he was uncovering the truth, and now, leaked government intel confirmed his suspicions. But Was this faked intel or raw truth? He had stumbled onto the forbidden secret, alien bases in Dulce, New Mexico. Secret deals for alien tech in exchange for land, cattle, and human experimentation. Was MJ-12 involved? Did they know the truth would actually make Benowitz unstable, paranoid, effectively silencing him? He would be committed to an insane asylum in 1988. Paul Benowitz, the scientist, had unknowingly become the first casualty of psychological warfare, waged by his own government. Some say he was misled. Others believe he stumbled into the greatest cover-up in American history. But one thing's certain: his claims of signals, ships, and secret installations opened the door to the Dulce nightmare. And what came next was even stranger. Phil Schneider stood on stage with missing fingers, burned scars across his torso, and a message he could no longer keep inside. "There's a war happening beneath our feet," he said. And he was one of the few who lived to tell about it. Before he became a whistleblower, Phil was a respected structural engineer and geologist. He claimed to have worked on some of the most classified U.S. government construction projects. But his story wasn't just about concrete and steel. It was about something buried far deeper. Even his lineage, he said, held secrets. His father, Captain Oscar Schneider, a former German U-boat commander turned U.S. Navy insider, allegedly worked on post-war nuclear programs. Not just a military legacy, but a bloodline tangled in the hidden machinery of deep state operations. Phil claimed he helped design and build dozens of top-secret bases across America. But one haunted him most: the expansion of the Dulce facility beneath Archuleta Mesa. In 1979, during excavation, his team allegedly broke into a pre-existing cavern. But it wasn't empty. Inside, they encountered what Schneider described as large, gray-skinned extraterrestrials. Hostile, uncommunicative, armed. He described a firefight, sudden, savage. Soldiers fell. He was hit by a directed energy weapon, his hand nearly vaporized, his chest torn open by a beam of pure plasma. Phil didn't just tell this story, he showed it. His wounds became his proof. For years, Schneider stayed silent. Whether due to trauma or secrecy, no one knows for sure. But by the early 1990s, he erupted onto the conspiracy lecture circuit. He wasn't polished, he wasn't political. He was raw, angry, defiant, and he had nothing left to lose. Waving alleged classified documents, pointing to deep scars and naming names, he warned of alien alliances, underground cities, and an agenda far darker than the public could imagine. His message: the Dulce base wasn't a myth. It was a war zone. And our government wasn't just hiding it, it was helping it. Before his death in 1996, ruled a suicide by authorities, Schneider gave dozens of speeches, warning of what he believed was coming. He was found in his apartment, no suicide note, but ligature marks from rubber tubing wrapped and knotted around his neck. Was he silenced? Some called him brave, others called him delusional. But even skeptics admit his wounds were real, his fear was real, and his story impossible to forget. If Schneider was right, Dulce wasn't just a base, it was a battleground, and we were losing. But the Dulce revelations continue. What would make a loyal government employee risk his life and vanish without a trace? In the shadows of the Dulce base legend, one name is whispered with dread: Thomas Costello. He wasn't a conspiracy theorist or a loud rebel. He was a husband, a father, a man with everything to lose. According to the lore, Thomas Costello worked deep inside the Dulce facility, a high-level security archivist with access to the most sensitive zones. He didn't go looking for darkness. But darkness, it seems, found him. At first, it may have looked like progress. Shared knowledge, quiet cooperation with something otherworldly. But in the lowest levels, beneath the surface charm, Costello saw something else entirely. His credentials were impeccable. He had top-level clearance, granting him unprecedented access to the facility's most guarded secrets. His duties involved monitoring security cameras, handling sensitive data, and even navigating the infamous Level 6 and 7, the deepest, most terrifying tiers of the 7-level underground complex. From his vantage point, monitoring secure video feeds and managing classified archives, he allegedly witnessed the true nature of the alien presence. Human and animal subjects in tubes, experiments that made mockery of genetics, and hybrids, things he couldn't unsee. The final straw? The 1979 firefight, the so-called Dulce War. Costello claimed it was real. Dozens dead, a bloodbath buried beneath denial. He knew staying silent meant complicity, and leaving might mean death. In the late 1980s, Costello reportedly leaked classified details to select researchers. His descriptions were chilling. Blueprints, security protocols, alien hierarchies. John Lear, Bill Cooper, George Knapp, many echoed parts of his account. Then, silence. No public records, no confirmed address, no death certificate. Children's school records missing, just gone, as if they never existed. Some say he went underground. Others believe he was erased, along with his family. Was he silenced by MJ-12? Were they real? Or protected by a hidden society of true believers? And one of these true believers was John Lear. Born into American aviation royalty, John Lear was the son of Bill Lear, the genius behind Learjet. But John was no mere heir. He carved his own legend. A decorated pilot with more FAA ratings than anyone in history, Lear broke world records and flew over 100 aircraft types across 6 continents. But Lear's story goes deeper. From 1967 to 1983, he flew covert missions for the CIA, transporting sensitive cargo across Southeast Asia and beyond. These weren't commercial flights. It was deep state classified logistics, the kind that leaves no paper trail but opens eyes to unspoken realities. With his name, skill, and connections, Lear could have taken the easy route, leading Learjet or climbing the intelligence ranks. Instead, he made a radical choice. He walked away from legacy and power and into the fringe. In choosing disclosure, John wasn't just risking his career. He was risking ridicule, relationships, and everything his family had built. Why? What did he see? What force or fear made him trade respect for rejection? Some say Lear encountered something during his missions. Others claim he was shown documents too explosive to forget. Whatever it was, it fractured his worldview and sent him chasing a new truth. Long before alien documentaries filled streaming platforms, John Lear was sounding alarms. In the world of ufology, his name carried both weight and warning. He championed Bob Lazar and connected him to journalist George Knapp, igniting the Area 51 explosion we know today. He worked with controversial figures like Bill Cooper, unafraid to challenge the public with uncomfortable truths. For Lear, Dulce wasn't just another story. It was the end point, the darkest layer of a world he had only begun to glimpse and could never unsee. He claimed confirmations of an underground base beneath Archuleta Mesa. He warned of human-alien treaties, secret genetic experiments, and a deadly firefight that left dozens of Americans dead. He said we weren't just hiding aliens, we were cooperating with them. John Lear, once the face of American aviation, became the voice of a shadow war below our feet. Was Lear a hero? A CIA disinformation agent? Or just a man too close to a truth humanity wasn't ready for? Much of this may sound unbelievable. And perhaps that's the point. Some suggest the entire Dulce narrative is a government smokescreen, a myth seeded to discredit UFO research, to distract prying eyes from real state-classified tech research. But what if it's more sinister than that? Paul Benowitz thought he had found the truth. Instead, he was fed lies until he broke. Phil Schneider thought he was serving his country. Instead, he may have died for what he said. Is it all fiction? Or fiction designed to hide fragments of terrifying truth? From the alleged human-alien treaties to the terrifying firefight, the Dulce base remains one of the darkest, most disturbing corners of the UFO conspiracy landscape. It paints a picture of a hidden war fought beneath our feet, where humanity grappled with forces it barely understood. What does it mean for us if such a place exists? If we are not only sharing our planet, but fighting for our very sovereignty against unseen forces? The truth, as always, remains elusive, shrouded in secrecy and speculation. But one thing is terrifyingly clear. The fight for disclosure might be about more than just identifying lights in the sky. If this deep dive into the Dulce base left you questioning everything, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Shadow Files for more compelling explorations of mysteries, government cover-ups, and the unexplained. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next expose. And remember, keep your eyes on the skies, and perhaps on what lies beneath. Thanks for watching the compilation, and if you have any topics or stories you like for Bite and Lenny to explore, drop it in the comments. We read everyone. It just may be our next expose.